Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. This is Trucks Only First podcast. And one of our first guests that we're having on the podcast today is Chris. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, Chris. And what is your last name?
Hilmer.
Hilmer. Chris Hilmer. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, for one, this is kind of cool. It's Trucks Only First podcast. And we're going to do maybe 4 shows a month and just have some cool, unique people on talking about the automotive industry, lifting trucks, the automotive industry in general, and different topics like that. So this is kind of a cool day. It's our first episode. It's my birthday, so
Happy birthday!
thank you. Welcome to the show. And how long have you been working at Trucks Only?
Since last November, so just shy of a year.
Just shy over a year. Okay. And what is your primary responsibility here?
I'm primarily the lift technician here.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good because that's kind of what I want to talk about for this, first episode is lifting trucks, off-roading in general, maybe, benefits to off-roading and lifting trucks and things like that. So I guess, tell me a little bit about your experience in general and like what makes you good at, lifting vehicles.
Well, I started off as an automotive technician back in about 2003, just doing general repair mainly. And then after my son was born, I stayed at home for a little while and got into four-wheel parts after I decided to go back to work.
Oh, that's cool. How old is your son?
He is 14 now.
Man, congrats.
So, yeah, I started at Four Wheel Parts in 2010 and got my experience doing lifts and off-road accessories and stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Worked there for about 3 or 4 years and then went to another place, G&M Motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
Worked there for 6 years.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And then came here.
Then on to here. All right, cool. So, you would think just in general being in Arizona, it's a great environment to have a truck in general and then to do a lift. For people out there, and I'm sure most people know, like, just maybe talk about a little bit of advantages of lifting a vehicle or leveling, and then maybe, what are some of the disadvantages to it?
Well, one of the main advantages, of course, you get more ground clearance. It lifts the vehicle up higher so you can go over bigger obstacles. It allows you to put a bigger tire on, and usually with a bigger tire you get a more aggressive tread. An all-terrain is what a lot of people do if they're just going to be on the pavement most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys that are more aggressive, they go with the MTs, and it helps a lot. Even a level kit gets you a bigger tire usually, and most people go with a wider wheel, so they get a wider tire, also a greater contact patch. It just helps in traction off-road, that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. And then what about maybe negative effects?
Higher center of gravity. So going around a turn, you got to make sure that you're going slower. Otherwise, it's going to roll.
Okay.
And unfortunately, also, when you're off-roading, it's higher center of gravity. You get too off-kilter, it'll go over.
Okay. And what about if somebody is, towing something heavy? Maybe they've got a fifth wheel in RV. Is there positive, negative? I don't know too much about lifting in general. I've, heard and again, I'm not a professional in it all, just in general that leveling is your best option for doing something like that as far as towing something heavy.
The biggest thing with towing, leveling is probably the optimal way to go. Some kits actually come with different leaf spring packs for the rear if you're doing a lift, but the companies will say does not allow you to haul more weight. The cargo capacity does not change. A lot of guys, if they lift it, you end up having to lift your trailer as well to make sure that everything's pretty well level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a lot of guys will put airbags.
See, I didn't even know that was a possibility. So that's pretty cool. So, in order to get the look and the feel, they don't want to give up one over the other. So you can, and how are they lifting their fifth wheel?
Well, a lot of them
have springs,
Yeah,
just like in.
the springs, and some of them are sprung under, so then you can flip them and spring over,
Uh-huh.
and then that gives you an instant like 5-6 inches
Huh.
on the trailer.
Interesting.
And then for cargo capacity and so on, a lot of guys will put helper
Mm-hmm.
airbags in the rear, and it's really not supposed to increase your capacity, but it will help level the truck out and make it so it doesn't sag in the rear when you're hauling a load.
That's pretty cool. And so if somebody came in and uh, was wanting a level at lifted trucks only or trucks only, and this could be a dumb question. It's all right. I'm going to ask it anyway. And they're just getting a level. Are they leveling the front or the back, or does that change per like manufacturer?
Most people will lift the front to make that factory rate go away and make it a level vehicle.
Got it.
Sometimes people want to lower the rear to make it level. So, like, say the new Dodge 1500s,
Mm-hmm.
if it's a two-wheel drive, a lot of guys will just lower the rear, and it's coil spring, so it's
Got
a
it.
real easy swap out to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of cool. So what's the process for a customer that comes in? I mean, I know you're more back of the house, I guess, that you would call it, whereas, they're going to deal with one of the managers up front or a service technician or, whatever, it is. But how does that process work?
They come in, and basically they kind of need to know what height they want to go. Do you want to go a 2-inch level? You want to go a 4-inch lift
Mhm.
kit, a 6-inch lift kit? I've done as much as 12 or 15 inches.
Oh my God.
On some at previous places, and
So
it
you're
gets
saying size matters?
for some people it does. But they come in,
Yeah.
know how much lift they want to get, and then the biggest factor in all this is the wheels and tires.
Uh-huh.
And that is the greatest discrepancy of price too, because you can go with a real low level wheel and
Mhm.
a low level tire and come out pretty cheap,
Mm-hmm.
or I've seen guys go 10 grand in wheels and tires.
Right. And is that because of what it's made out of? Like, whether they're using, it's a steel wheel or alloy or.
Yeah, most of them are alloys anymore that you're getting aftermarket.
Yeah.
There's a company out there, Specialty Forged. They
Mhm.
make some 26-inch rims by 16 inches wide,
Mhm.
and that's just tip of the iceberg there. I mean, you can get crazy with some of the
That's
numbers.
cool. And I think, for me being the marketing director and go out and doing the shoots and stuff, most of what I've seen are 35 as far as the tires, but we do 37s as well. So I'm just curious, is that those two different tire sizes are dependent on the wheel size, or is it between the gap there's as much room as there is to fit? How does that exactly work?
Well, the tire size is different than the wheel size.
Mhm.
So we usually go with the tire size 35s on most everything that we do. If we're doing a 3/4 ton lift, we'll try and get the 37s on them.
Mhm.
If we think it'll clear. Jeeps, we're doing a lot of 37s on now.
Right.
But the wheels, we generally do a 20x9 or a 20x10.
Got it.
The other places I worked, anything from an 18x9 to, like I said, 26x16.
Sure. And so let's talk a little bit about some of our partners that we use for our, I guess since we're talking about, off-roading and lifting in general, let's talk about some of our partners as far as the components itself in the lift. Who are we using to do that?
The main brand of lift kit that we're using right now is Rough Country.
Mhm.
We occasionally do a zone lift or even a BDS lift,
Okay.
depending. We get those from BDM Customs. The Rough Country kits we're starting to get through Canyon State 4x4 now.
Mhm.
They seem to be a little quicker with response and everything, so when we need it now kind of thing.
Right.
I don't think we use anybody else right now. If a customer comes in and requests a certain kind, we can usually get it though. I know somebody actually requested a price on a Pro Comp recently,
Uh-huh.
so
Okay. So, those are our main, manufacturers that we're using, but we can get others outside of that.
right.
And then, so is the suspension included in that, or is that something separate? Like, that's something I've always, wondered, because I know a lot of people will go with, say, like Fox suspension, but get the lift separate. So, talk a little bit about the differences between the actual lift and the suspension as far as the shocks? Is that one and the same?
Okay, so most of the time when you do the lift, you're taking brackets and moving positions of control arms, and it just kind of alters where things are placed, but you're really not replacing struts on the IFS front ends.
Got it.
On the solid axle trucks and so on, it's usually springs. They do come with new shocks, and you can upgrade Bilsteins. You can do Fox. You can do pretty much whatever you want there. Somebody did request a coil-over level kit recently, but they couldn't find one for it. I don't know what it was. I think they were looking for a BDS, but that's a Fox-built, basically, system.
Got it.
They didn't have one for that particular application. So.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a difference between the suspension itself, the strut, the shock, but you're not really replacing springs and stuff on IFS, but on solid axles you are replacing front springs usually.
Got it. Okay, cool. And so for somebody that's listening to this, watching it or whatever it is, what would you recommend for them if they're interested in getting, their vehicle lifted, just to come on down, to give us a call, or kind of what are your suggestions on that?
Yeah, you can call in, talk to one of the desk guys. Dave's our manager now, and we've got Mike as a service advisor. And Dave is pretty good. He knows most of what's going on. He's the one that takes care of most of the lift stuff for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just call in, or you can come on down. And if you decide that you find something out there you want, you can always call in and have us install it.
Do the install too. And so I guess how long does it take? Like if somebody came in, I know, they're not making an appointment right now, and we do online appointments and all that, but just, generally, what would somebody expect as far as lead time and ordering something from us to actually getting it installed and then heading out?
Between lift kit, wheels, and tires, looking at probably 3 to 5 days lead time to order everything.
That's not bad at all. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, some places you'll be waiting, weeks.
Yeah, depending on the brand of kit and so on. Yeah, some of them would take weeks.
That's cool. Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right. Well, is there anything else that you may want to point out to anybody that's interested in, getting their vehicle lifted, buying off-road accessories, anything like that? Anything you want to point out?
We do it all, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, we do the lift kits, we do amp steps, the power boards.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up as far as other accessories and stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, aside from here at the service center and the lifted truck center, we're full service. I mean, I've seen you guys doing engine swaps.
Yeah, we do out there. We do pretty much everything. And, there's some things that we don't dig into, but we have good vendors that help us out with those. But for the most part, we do all of our own service here.
So tires, accessories,
Yep.
Roof racks, lighting, different things like that.
If anybody wants any of that, I've done several airbag setups recently here. I do the hitches, the fifth wheel hitches, even the bumper hitches and stuff like that.
Very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. So I mean, if for any of our listeners, watchers out there, trucksonlyservice.com is the site. You guys can see, service hours, schedule online appointments. Just search for them on Google and different things like that. But, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming out.
No problem.
This is kind of cool. This was our first time. So, we're trying to hammer out technical difficulties and figure out the audio. And so it's kind of a work in progress. But that's what makes it good. It's grassroots. And we're kind of figuring out it along the way. But I appreciate, you coming out and being a voice and letting people know, what they can expect if they come here and kind of the process and stuff. So it's good for people to see that and put a voice to the face and stuff. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.